at the London Stadium. We're back for some Premier League football. During the week we had a Europa League game. Ricky wasn't on that any of those
I wasn't on the shows, I was over there, yeah.
You were over there. What was it like over there, actually?
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah. It's a lovely city. It's a big city.
Yeah.
Big city to get around.
What about the atmosphere in those stadiums? I hear a lot about, I think Beth was even saying that the energy in like those Turkish stadiums is electric. It's different to like what English football's like.
Yeah, it's not quite the same as it was a few years ago though when we played, well, a good few years ago. You probably won't remember it, Mordzs, when we played the Welcome to Hell game.
Oh, yeah.
That was unbelievable, yeah. But, but it's still electric atmosphere, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to have a very interesting show today because I really want to hear your opinions on everything that's happened during the week because, like I said, you wasn't on the show. So, you know, Ten Hag has made a few top comments. Before we were walking in, you were telling me your opinions on a few of the things that Ten Hag has said. So we really want to get into that. And, I mean, look, there's always a debate every week about what the team is going to be. I mean, I think it's a very similar squad to the squad that travelled to Turkey. So I think it's the same options that are available, plus probably Bruno. Obviously, he wasn't available for Europa League game. So the discussions about which players are going to be playing is very similar. I don't think we've got Manu still. Still haven't got a Mount. Still haven't got a...
Johnny Evans might be there, I think.
Johnny Evans might be there. So that's a huge addition, to be fair, for a player that can join the team. But, I mean... Let's start off. I want to start off with what we were discussing earlier about Ten Hag's comments for the last game about Anthony training well. You obviously have your opinion on what that means in terms of Ahmad. So yeah, let me know and obviously tell the people what are your opinions on that.
Well, first of all, let's start with that. Ahmad, for me, is the best winger, and it's not even close. To me, he's the best winger by a country mile. All the fans are getting excited by Garnacho dribbling and taking players on. In general, you can't always beat your fullback. Nobody beats his fullback every time. But to me, he tries it too often. He loses it too often. When he does get past him or cut inside, he shoots. His shooting isn't that good. Usually the P-rollers, as I call them, into the goalkeeper's arms, or he blazed one over the bar during the week from about 25 yards when Dalot was wide open on the right. Decision making's horrendous. Don't get me wrong, I've seen Ahmad cut in and shoot when I would rather he would have passed it, but he doesn't do it consistently like Garnacho does. His decision making's better. I believe we would be a better team. And I know some people might come back and say, I mean, I don't know the exact stats. Garnacho's got more goals and more assists, perhaps, than Ahmad has. I don't care. The team's got to start playing better. Yeah, we won't bang on about City and Grealish, like I often speak about. Grealish gets hardly any goals or assists. We need wingers who look after the ball better and pass it better. We need the team to play better, and then that way, the team can start scoring more goals, and it doesn't matter who scores them or who assists them. It's about moving the ball around, and there's a perfect example, by the way, when Garnacho shot from 25 to 30 yards and it went about 8 yards over the bar. Dalot, and if anybody's got it recorded, look at it. I might put a clip on Instagram actually. Dalot's like that on the wing with his arms out. You know, why didn't you just pass it to me? And he should have passed it to him. So we've got to start making better decisions. Now then, to the manager and the manager's comments about it. I think we're going down the same road here as we went down with Sancho. And I know probably 80 or 90% of the fans have fallen out with Sancho. And even the ones who were saying he was a crap player, really, they're saying that because he fell out with a manager, his attitude. Some people say his attitude towards the club wasn't right. But to me, the manager has got his favourites in Rashford and Garnacho. And it seems to me that we're going down the same road here now with Ahmad. Now, the manager actually said about Sancho that he wasn't in the squad one day because he wasn't training hard enough, and Sancho didn't agree with that. And now, to me, this is dead similar. Anthony, he's been awful most of the time he's been with us. He said he deserved the game the other night because he's training hard. That's a little bit like saying he's training harder than Ahmad. It's the same thing again.
It's like he's trying to hide what
it's a bit like saying he might as well have said Ahmad. Well, you are saying that. He's actually saying Ahmad didn't come on in front of Anthony because Anthony's training harder than he is. He didn't use that phrase, but by saying Anthony got a game because he's training so hard, you are saying that. So, no doubt, Ahmad he's going down the same road as Sancho. He'll be the next United player to play in a Champions League final, mark my words, for somebody else, just like Sancho's done.
That's a big shout.
It is a big shout, obviously. Obviously, that's a bit tongue-in-cheek, but that's the quality of player that he is.
He can go to another
he goes to another team who are better than us.
McTominay could
McTominay's playing. I watched. Well, they're not in the Champions League, are they? But I watched Napoli yesterday. The top of the league still. It was an home game. They were all over Lecce, however you pronounce it. Yeah. And late on, McTominay had an header saved by the keeper, and they scrambled it in.
He's got a couple of goals this season.
And he's got a couple of gols, so he's doing well. Yeah. I'm watching him as often as I can.
Yeah, but 100%, I think you're right, because we spoke about it on the fan forum about, he's not technically saying that Ahmad's not training hard, but he's saying that there's other players in the team that are training harder than him.
Simply by mentioning it, Mordzs. Simply by mentioning it, you're basically saying that he's training harder than you. That's why he's playing. It's not. I'm sure it's not right. It's probably not true anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's probably not true anyway. We don't know. But Ahmad certainly don't look very happy coming on the field. Looked like he didn't even want to come on to me. Although when he comes on, straight away you can see how good he is. If you've never seen that player play before, you need to sit up and watch. There was a ball played to him. He only got 2 touches, I think. There's a ball played to him just inside their half with a couple of players around him. And his little touch and control, he was dead aware of what was around him. He took it away from 2 players, and he had to go backwards. Some people go, oh, it's a backwards pass. Grow up, that's what I say. He had a couple of players around him. He evaded them both with a lovely little touch, and then his second touch was a pass back to the full-back that got him out of trouble. It was a lovely piece of play. Next minute, he appears on the edge of the box. Lovely little touch, takes him past the full-back, wins a free kick.
Smart play.
He was only on a few minutes, and in 5 minutes you can see what a good player he is. It's so simple.
Yeah. 100%, you're 100% right.
Do you want me to carry on?
I mean, look, I feel like we have these similar conversations every week just because the small amount of time that he gets, he shows so much, but it's like Ten Hag. It's like when Ahmad comes on the pitch, he closes his eyes and he's already forgotten about the game, because a lot of the time when Ahmad comes on, the game's done. We're either losing by too much or we're winning by like 2-3 goals. So it's kind of like he's treating him like an academy player. Like he's 17. It's like, go on, have a couple minutes, see what you can do, but you're not going to play the next game.
You're right, Mordzs, but I think in the last few games before, I mean, if you think about the other night, we've already substituted one winger. He only came on because yet another winger got injured. He wouldn't have come on at all. Yeah. And I don't think he set foot on the pitch for about 3 games before that. I might be wrong, but I don't think he's even been coming on at all for 2 or 3 games. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. It's almost, like you say, it's like he's an academy player, or if he really doesn't rate him, I can't give him a run. The wingers are not setting the place alight, are they?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You think we were playing with like Vinny Jr. and
or Yamal?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The wingers are not exactly performing to a very high standard. And another thing as well about the comments is, if he was to base every single player through training, you can say at least he's being consistent.
There'll probably be another 6 changes in the team, won't it, if he just picked the ones that are training harder.
It'll probably be a whole nother team.
Look, these are professional footballers. I only played amateur football, but we used to train Tuesdays and Thursday nights when I played for Winningshire Amateurs. Great days. I wish I could turn the clock back. Yeah. There was nobody there not doing the best in training. I don't get it. I can't see it in professional football that someone's not trying hard in training. I just can't grasp it.
I've only ever heard that twice from 2 footballers. The first one was Dele Alli. I heard that he never used to train that well, and Hazard. Yeah. But those are 2... At the time anyway, were 2 very, very good players. So you can kind of understand why they still got to start, because you're not going to drop Eden Hazard, you know what I mean? But the players that we're keeping on the pitch are not exactly at that standard to even have that kind of argument. So look, I guess that's another reason why Ten Hag isn't, people have criticism for Ten Hag. I've been Ten Hag out for probably since the Spurs game, to be fair. I think that game was kind of where I thought, this is too far now. If I was to stay Ten Hag in, it would just be based off hope and excuses. And I'm kind of tired of doing the excuses thing now.
I was looking at last season's league table. Last season it was Garnacho and Rashford nearly all the time. Ahmad hardly ever got a run out. We finished the season with a negative goal difference. Yeah. That's got to improve. Now then, we conceded 58 goals last season, Mod. So it's all the reason the goal difference is so poor is because we're not we're not scoring enough. We only conceded 58, but only 3 teams conceded less than we did. And those 3 teams were the top 3, City, Arsenal and Liverpool. Nobody else in the league conceded
Oh, is it?
Less than we did. So it's the amount of goals that we're scoring that's the problem. We only scored 57 goals. Again, if you look at them top teams, 86, 91 and 96, we've got to be getting at least 70 goals. Yeah. We need another 15 to 20 goals just to start climbing the table and be a serious challenger for the top 4. So it's the amount of goals that the defensive, look, 58 goals to me sounds a lot to let in, but if there's only 3 teams in the league conceding less, you've got to say, well, that's not too bad.
That's the standard,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we've got to start scoring more goals. Yeah. And those are the 2 wingers who keep cutting in and shooting all the time. This season now we've got a negative goal difference. It seems to me that the way we want to try to score goals is the wrong way to try to score goals. We're doing it wrong. Yeah. That's why we're doing so poorly. The defenders are fine, the midfield players are fine, the attackers are awful.
What would you say, other than Ahmad, what would you say would be the biggest change that would impact the amount of goals that we score? For example, the striker situation or the style of play in terms of attacking style of play. What would you say the biggest difference that we could
Well,
make?
there was something that we could have tried during the week, and I know people always say, oh, don't bang on about Bruno again, and I just think, but let's be honest, we've scored that amount of goals for about 3 seasons in a row. You've heard me 1.5 a game thing many times, haven't you? I can't remember which way round it is, but in 3 seasons we've scored 57, 57 and 58. It's more or less bang on 1.5 a game. It needs to be nearer 2 a game. Now, Bruno's our creative player. Let's be honest, everybody says what a creative player he is. He's the man playing in that final third. Those are the 2. I know Garnacho only came strong into the team last season, but we still didn't score any more goals than the previous 2 seasons. So to me, Rashford, Garnacho and Bruno are the ones who you should be looking at. I'm sorry I'm mentioning Bruno again, but he is the number 10. He is supposedly the creative spark, and he does play all the time, and we don't score enough goals. So what would I do? I would certainly play Ahmad. Then we're struggling for another winger. Let Garnacho and Rashford, fight over the other place. I'd play Ahmad every week, and I would try. If there's a perfect opportunity to try this during the week, no doubt you'll touch on Mazraoui at number 10 as we go through the show. But there was a perfect opportunity to play Ugarte, Casemiro, and Eriksen during the week. And I think if we played regularly with those 3 in midfield and as Ahmad as one of the wingers, I am absolutely adamant. Doesn't matter if any of them players score. Doesn't matter. I'll be adamant that our goal scoring will rise if we play those 4 players every week.
Well, Bruno is going to play today.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt,
as expected.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's see how well, because obviously, I feel like when you take a game off, naturally, for someone who plays so many games anyway for Bruno, he's playing 50, 55, 60 games, well, depending on how far we get in certain competitions. He's playing a lot of games, so a lot of people do say that the reason why they feel like Bruno's performances drop is just because of the high volume of games. And we've heard other players complain about the same thing as well. Rodri complained recently. Obviously, he's injured all season, but he, as another player that has complained about the level of games or the amount of games. So maybe just this break that he's had, it might create something, or it might spark something in Bruno to kind of come back and perform better. But let's get to some of these super chats. Super chat from Daniel Sturridge. Ricky talks sense, got me through some hard times, thanks.
Thank you very much, Daniel, if that's your real name. Are you actually Daniel Sturridge?
It might be, it might be. We could deal with Daniel Sturridge, to be fair. Super chat from Maka. Although I don't always agree with Ricky, I'm glad he's on the show. What a legend. If I saw him in the pub, I'd buy him a pint. Glory, glory, Man United.
Right, which pub are we in, mate?
Got to name the pub, man. Let us know the pub. Super chat from Thomas Mercado. Ten Hag will destroy Ahmad's confidence. That's an interesting point, to be fair. Because the last thing that I want is, first of all, the last thing I want is Ahmad to leave. Yeah. That's the last thing. But secondly, I don't want a case where when he does get to play, we don't see the play that we know or the play that we expect to see, just because of the fact that his mentality is all wrong. He spoke about when he came on the pitch in the last game, and you could see on his face, it's like, I don't even want to play. I don't want to be here. I remember, I know it's a completely different player, but I remember when Ronaldo was here, and a similar thing happened with Ten Hag, where either he didn't want to play or Ten Hag didn't want to play him, and then he eventually had to come on, and you could tell that Ronaldo didn't want to play. For whatever reason it was, he didn't want to play, and he ended up having a terrible game anyway, just because, I know it's Ronaldo anyway, but it's a completely different situation. But sometimes when you play, knowing when to play a player and when not to play a player can affect a player's confidence. Same thing happened to Rashford this season. He got dropped for that Crystal Palace game, confidence went all over the place. Now he's finally starting to build it up a little bit more, but it's just that man management, that in-game management. Even if you do want to have a player as a sub, when are you going to bring them on? Could have brought Ahmed in the 60th minute the last game, and it would have changed the game.
Doing that, yeah. No harm. He's got to start doing it. The wingers, look, I'm adamant that Ahmad's better than the other two wingers. I'm adamant of that. But even if somebody was to argue with me that they're all dead similar, even if they're dead similar, why not chop it and change it a little bit?
Even fatigue.
Yeah.
Players get tired. You're running around for a whole game. You're travelling twice a week. It makes sense, and that's why I don't see it as rotation. A lot of people say, oh, he's just being rotated. Rotated would mean one game he plays, one game he doesn't, one game he's a sub for the 60th minute, one game he's sub 70th minute, next game he starts. That's rotation. That makes more sense because he's still getting regular minutes. He's getting similar minutes to the other wingers. When the minutes, the disparity between the minutes is like one player's getting 90 minutes a game, the other player's getting 10 minutes, 5 minutes a game. That's not rotation. That's just, that is dropped, in my opinion. That's the definition of dropped. But staying on the attacker, seeing as we're talking about the attacking players, the two likely wingers are obviously going to be Garnacho and Rashford. Now, there has been a lot of conversation on a lot of these forums about Garnacho's output and his influence in a game. Now, for me, I don't like bashing Garnacho because I think it's very hard to even bash a teenager. I think that's wrong anyway. He's a young kid coming through. He's still learning, he's still developing. There's a lot of things that he's going to learn just through making mistakes. So I'm not here to bash Garnacho, but I do think that, one, there's a little bit of an overhype kind of thing around Garnacho. And for some reason, I feel like Ten Hag buys into that hype as well. That's why he plays him a lot.
He's like a fan.
Yeah.
I heard Robbie Savage talking on as the co-commentator, banging on about, they've got to keep giving the ball to Garnacho. He's the one who looks like doing it. He looks like doing it because he's trying to do it. If you think about it, do you understand what I mean? The other players are not trying to take somebody on every time they get it. That's why they don't look like they're going to do it.
I was actually saying it during the game. Like, Garnacho must have got the ball on the edge of the box and took a shot. And everyone was like, well done. I'm just thinking, anyone could have taken a shot there. It didn't go in. It didn't test the keeper. He just took a shot. And a lot of times, he does get into the right position. For example, there will be times where the ball's played through to Garnacho, and it's that final decision, whether to cross it, whether to cut back, or whether to shoot. It doesn't make the right decision every single time. And sometimes he will shoot and the keeper will save it, or go for a corner. And it's like, you made the right run, but the most important part of what you should have done, you got it wrong. So
the decision making is poor far too often, and it needs. Look, he's like you said, he's dead young. Don't want to bash him. He's obviously got skill. He's obviously got pace. But he needs to control his game a bit more and take more often take the easy option of the easy pass. And people might think, that's boring. Some people think, but that's how the best teams play. Keep moving the ball.
You don't have to score in the first 5 minutes. You can score. You don't have to
score every time. You don't have to try and score every time you get the ball either.
Keep the ball. The longer you have the ball, the more chance you have for scoring. Because you don't want to be. And as well, another thing that we talk about is like fatigue of players. We spoke about Garnacho's fatigue last season because he started like 30 games plus. The reason why he got fatigue is because he started 30 games, but he's running for 70 minutes in those 30 games because we don't have the ball. He's literally having to sprint every single game, constantly having to press, constantly having to track back,
get back
because of the way we play. A City player or an Arsenal player or a Liverpool player, or even teams like Southampton that like to keep the ball a lot. West Ham like to keep the ball as well. But they're obviously not as good as keeping the ball. But as you look at the top teams, the reason why they don't get fatigued as much is because they're just holding the ball. It's so much easier to keep your energy and to maintain maintain your the energy and your
composure.
Composure in the game when you have the ball, because you're not having to constantly sprint. You can read the game a lot better because you're watching your team with the ball. When you're watching another team with the ball, you're constantly having to figure out what's going on, constantly have to check your shoulder for their strikers, constantly having to press. You're gonna get more tired, and it's gonna impact you in the future. So, I mean, that's another Ten Hag thing, teaching the team how to keep the ball, that ball retention, but also with a play like Garnacho, if he was to just keep the ball more, you're not going to sprint 20 times every single game. So I guess that's another thing that he has to learn. But even on the other side with Rashford, I know obviously you're not the biggest Rashford fan, but in terms of Rashford and Garnacho, who would you say is the biggest threat out of the two of them?
Garnacho reminds me of Rashford of a year or two back, where he's trying to get. Rashford used to be like that. He's not quite the same now, and he's especially not quite the same on the right wing, where he's played the last couple of games. He did cut in once. He did have one really good run, and shot about a foot wide of the post. Remember it with his left foot, and it just went, just curled.
It was a good chance.
And if you think about it as well, I might be wrong here. I'd need to I have rewatched it, but I haven't counted. I don't remember Rashford cutting in and shooting. Well, he's not going to cut in and shoot that often because he's on that side.
On the right.
But on the one time that he did do it, he came closer than Garnacho did. Do you know what I mean? Garnacho tried it 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, and it didn't come off.
It's about picking your moment.
Yeah. Well, do you like Rashford on the right?
I prefer him on the right partly for that reason. And the previous game he put a decent ball in, a good ball that Garnacho. I mean, look at that goal. Look at that goal Garnacho scored. Yeah. Some people might say, because fans are like that, or most fans are. If you're a fan of Garnacho, I bet there's 1 or 2 people watching this, maybe more than 1 or 2, who might have thought to themselves, "Look at Garnacho's goal against Brentford though last week." Yeah, but if you look at the goal, look at the goal. It's not one where he's had to run and beat 3 men.
Yeah.
It's a one-touch finish because somebody's giving the ball.
Amazing.
They're the type of goals that we need to be scoring. Yeah. They're the type of times when you should be having a shot.
Yeah.
And not when you get your ball at the feet 35 yards from goal and straight away the first thing is your mind is, I'm going to have a shot here.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing about Rashford as well, that I think we're seeing it a lot more this season anyway. We haven't seen it as much in the past, but the fact that he can put a good ball in, he can switch the ball, switch play, which I think is such an important part of football in general. Being able to spread the pitch, you're giving yourself space, you're making the opposition have to think twice because they know that if Rashford's got the ball on the left or on the right, we've still got to look out for Garnacho because Rashford could put a ball right in behind and that Garnacho can run onto. If we didn't have players that could do that, which is why I say it's a valuable attribute that Rashford has. If we didn't have players that could do that, they could just leave Garnacho alone because they know the ball's not going to end up with him anyway. They don't even have to think about it because no one's going to give him the ball. We're just going to focus on that one. If Rashford was just constantly every time he's getting the ball, just driving, taking it down the wing, you already know what he's going to do. That unpredictability almost of Rashford's game that he's developing now, I think that's a huge asset to United. And that's why I still pick him every single game. Even though, yes, he had a terrible season last season and he's still not up to the standards that we expect of him, he still adds something different to the team that potentially Garnacho doesn't have. A couple of super chats in here. Flash talks. Ricky is a now-then mood. Love it. Ricky is in a now-then mood. Love it. I don't know what that means.
I think he means I'm saying now then.
Now then.
Now then, listen to this one.
Okay, super chat from John Reimer. Half the players are counter-attacking players and not ball-holding players. So the squad makeup is creating problems and creating the decision-making issues you are talking about. Basically, the personnel of the players isn't what we need. So in terms of that anyway, which players would you say anyway are those ball retention players? We spoke about Ahmad.
Players who look after the ball.
Players who look after the ball, yeah.
Obviously Eriksen,
yeah.
Tries to be like this, but it is more difficult at centre forward. But Zirkzee, he wants to try and get hold of the ball and play the easy pass. It's his style, but I think he is struggling a little bit. But I think he'd do better though if we had more players doing that. Do you know what I mean?
Mainu's obviously another one as well.
Yeah, Mainu's another. Yeah. Obviously, defenders try and look after the ball as much as they can anyway. Yeah. So we've got loads of players who do it. It's just a couple of players really who let us down. Yeah.
And even I want to stick on the attacking options. That whole striker situation is again another conversation every week. Højlund obviously played the Fenerbahce game. I thought he had a decent game as well. He held up the ball well.
Came on as a sub, didn't he?
Came on as a sub. I think when he did come on, he held up the ball. I think he played better than Zirkzee did anyway. When he was on the pitch, is that something that you feel like he has to get more minutes? He has to be starting a lot more over Zirkzee.
Perhaps, but the thing is, the same applies to Zirkzee. When you've got 2 strikers and you're only playing with 1 striker and they both want game time, it's the same like we've just spoken about with the wingers really, except one of them is clearly better in my opinion, clearly better than the others.
Yeah.
In this instance, they're different styles of players, aren't they? And if you could say that one of them is going to play every game and the other one can only get 10 minutes or 50 minutes, I probably would just about go with Højlund. But still, the season is so young, he's been with us such little time. I do see some flashes from Zirkzee that I think if he could be consistent, he could be the man. You know, I'm not saying he's a different type of player, but I think he's going to feed them. He got a lot of stick for not putting the ball through for Garnacho during the week. But even though that's his strength, you're still going to let yourself down occasionally. He should have put a ball through the other night for Garnacho. And I saw Garnacho, by the way, throwing his arms up and down. I've rewatched it, that game.
Is it?
I saw Garnacho throwing his arms up and down. Why didn't he give it me? He needs to learn. He gets the ball 30 seconds later and just loses it instantly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like you complain about yourself almost. Like you're doing the same thing to other players.
Yeah.
Do you think
I'll tell you what it was. You might even remember it.
Yeah.
He got the ball. It was literally about 30 or 40 seconds after Zirkzee should have given it to Garnacho. It was given to Garnacho, and he went at the fullback. He got level with the edge of the box, and maybe just past the edge of the box, and he turned back and he tried to cross it. And it went outside the box and all the way towards our right back position. Do you remember it?
Maybe.
I'll clip it up and send it to you, Mords. It's absolutely horrendous, and yet he's throwing his arms up at another player. Do you know what I mean?
It's a bit hypocritical.
It's a team
almost.
game. Let's get stuck in and just crack on.
I've just got some news about the team.
Go on.
You're probably going to be a bit disappointed in this. Ahmad does not start.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Not only that, but as expected, Bruno does start.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
So that one's not surprising. I mean, they're both kind of not surprising in a way. I would have predicted it anyway.
Yeah.
But again,
Johnny Evans, do we know?
Not yet. I think if that is in, I'll probably get told about it in my ear. So they're the only two confirmations so far. Ahmad is not starting and Bruno is starting. But I want to stick on the whole Zirkzee thing. Do you think it's a confidence issue? Because I feel like when he starts to have a bad game, it's like the whole game is bad. I've never seen Zirkzee start off with like a few bad touches, but then it changes halfway through the game and like his mentality kind of switches. I feel like when he has a bad game, it's really bad. Like it's like he can't even touch it. Every pass is kind of off. But then when it's a good game, his confidence is high. Yeah. It's like it brings this new confidence in him, and everything seems to be working well. Do you feel like it's a confidence thing with him?
I'm not sure, mate. It's difficult to say. One thing I do know that I've said a few times before is when you're watching a game live and you really want your team to do well, every little thing, especially if you've got a downer on a player, you sometimes think, oh, that's gone bad again, that's gone wrong again, and you think it's going terrible. And a point in question, by the way, the reason I'm mentioning this because you're talking about Zirkzee. Yeah. The previous game when he come on as a sub, was it the Brentford game? He got about 15 or 20 minutes as a sub. I think it might have been the Brentford game. It might not have been. But I've rewatched it, and he got a lot of stick for his 15 to 20 minute cameo. And you know what? I've rewatched it, and I think he did really well. There was just so many good touches. There was a one play, he chested the ball off to one man. He won an header where he didn't just flick it onto Rashford, but he actually headed it down to Rashford on the right wing. There was loads of really good stuff, and he was only on for 15 or 20 minutes. And this is a game where most of the fans were saying he was crap when he came on. Yeah. And I didn't think anything of it while I was watching it live.
Was that one where they missed that chance that Rashford gave him?
I don't know. Could it have been that one? It might have been. Might be the reason why that people are on him.
Was it the one that you
watched? He just didn't quite reach it. Do you know what, Mods? I'd have to watch it again.
Yeah.
I just think it certainly wasn't Thursday night, and the previous game to that was Brentford, wasn't it?
Yeah, the one that you did the watch along for.
Yeah, it might have been that one. It might have been that one. But I've watched it again, and I just think he's got a lot of stick for no reason. I thought he did. Obviously he lost it a couple of times. You're not going to do great every time, but it seems to get magnified in people's minds if somebody does.
Like a
little bit like Lindelof. I've watched that again back. Absolutely super game Lindelof had, and one ball goes over his head that he can't reach, and it's everyone's and I think some people think he got subbed because of that. He was injured.
Yeah, he was injured.
He got subbed because he was injured.
Yeah,
I didn't notice it live, but I noticed it when I was watching it today. Literally about 30 seconds before he missed that header that they scored from. He was holding his hamstring. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
now, Tull was the. I've shout out to Tull who's watching this. He's the only person that mentioned it on the day. He saw it straight away and he said, "Lindelof's just pulled up." He's pulled up, and like you said, about 10, 20 seconds later, we could see the goal.
Well done to Tull. I didn't spot it live, but I spotted it on the camera, on the screen this morning when I watched it.
But I mean, that does go to. I feel like you can look at it both ways. But first of all, I have just had some news in my ear. Johnny Evans does not start.
Doesn't start, right?
Johnny Evans does not start. I'm not sure. Does that mean he has travelled though? I'm not sure.
Is he on the bench? Do we know?
Not sure.
We'll find out for sure in about 10 minutes, won't we? Official team news will be out.
Sam C will let us know if he's travelled. But in terms of what we were just saying before, I feel like there's two ways of looking at it because, in my opinion, you can have a great game, like for 80 minutes, but if you're the reason why a goal's conceded, how great of a game is it? Because we've lost the game now because of you. You know what I mean?
I look at it differently to that though, Mords. Obviously it depends how badly you are.
If it's a reason, yeah.
If you're really badly at fault, I don't think Lindelof was really badly at fault. He obviously he could have done better. He could have been a bit deeper. What centre backs tend to do, Mords, and I often hear people say, "Oh, he's unmarked, who's marking him?" I'm not talking about from corners or free kicks. Corners or free kicks, everybody gets hold of a man, and you're supposed to stay with your man.
Yeah.
But when a game's just flowing naturally and it's open play, what centre-backs tend to do, they tend to position themselves where they think the ball's going to come. I'll tell you what, we'll try and watch for this during the game today. Yeah. It's a lot easier when you're not watching it live because you want it to go so well when you're watching it live. But they regularly head balls away because they're in front of the man and the ball comes in lower. The ball comes, they position themselves where they think the ball's going to come. It's anticipation.
Yeah.
And on the odd occasion, your anticipation's usually pretty good, but on the odd occasion, it goes over your head. And that's what happened there.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I bet you between us, we can count at least 7 or 8 times today where our centre-backs head the ball out of our own box while they're not actually marking anyone. They're just in position where they think the ball's going to come, and that's how most defenders operate.
It's like IQ, understanding the game.
Yeah, it's an IQ, understanding. It's reading the game. As I say, because I watched. Again, it's a tiny little thing. You won't remember it, but I watched Lindelof. They went on a breakaway in the first half, and I was particularly watching Lindelof because he'd had a bit of stick. Yeah. And they got down the left-hand channel, and they tried to feed it across the box, and Lindelof read where it was going to come, and he slid in, and he blocked it, and it went for a throw-in. Yeah. It went for a corner. Yeah. And the commentator said, "Oh, brilliant position, brilliant play by Lindelof, great block and all that." He's not marking anyone. He knows where the ball's going to go. Yeah. Now, had that player managed to clip it over Lindelof and he would have scored, it's a different ball game, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. We've just got the team in. So I'm going to go for the team. This is the official starting 11 for United versus West Ham. In goal, Andre Onana. In defence, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Martinez and Dalot. In midfield, Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes. And the front three, Garnacho, Rashford and Højlund.
Could have picked it, really.
Any surprises? Anything that stands out in there?
I think it's exactly what we would expect him to pick if everybody was fit, apart from perhaps Johnny Evans. Johnny Evans seemed to have nailed that place down for a few games. Yeah. So have we got the bench? Is Evans actually fit? That'll be interesting to know.
Not got the bench. Let me see.
Even if he is on the bench, it might mean that they don't think he's really fully fit to start. It could be that. But
yeah. Let me see if I can get the bench from Sam. But on that team, I'd say really the only difference is that I've heard people talk about is Ugarte. Yeah. A lot of people obviously saying that they want to see more Ugarte. I think the last game he had a decent game as well. Yeah. He has kind of progressed a little bit, considering the start of his United career was a little bit shaky. But I guess that's just him understanding, I guess, this level of football, Premier League football. It's different, it's a new team, so it's understandable to have a slow start. But he has progressed a little bit more, not just his defensive attributes, but driving with the ball, picking out a good pass, playing a simple pass, keeping the ball retention. He is progressing a little bit. Is that a player that you want to see more of in the team? And if so, who would you replace him for in that team?
Well, I think I've already said that by the team that I said I would play if we want to start scoring more goals, and I would put him in and I'd put Eriksen a bit further forward and drop Bruno.
Replace him for Bruno.
It's never going to happen, but I promise you faithfully we will start scoring more goals if we do that. Yeah. I'm absolutely adamant, and for 3 seasons in a row, and now again this season, we're not scoring enough goals.
Yeah, I agree. I think in terms of who would I replace Ugarte for, I would have probably said Casemiro, only because like I said before, I think Bruno, the fact that he's had this break, I want to see what he does look like now that he's had a little bit of a game off, he's had a few days off, he didn't have to travel with the team, so naturally he's going to be he's a bit more rejuvenated, so I do want to see what Bruno is going to look like now. Not like he's going to be a different player, but sometimes when players have games off, they sometimes come back a bit stronger, a bit better. I definitely wouldn't replace Eriksen because I think most people would agree he's probably been one of our best players this season. And also, this whole narrative of Eriksen's not strong enough, he's not physical enough, it's kind of been debunked this season. We played against physical teams, and Eriksen's still been our best player. He's been able to keep the ball the best. Other players haven't even been able to get near him to even test his physicality. So I don't think I'd replace Eriksen, and then that just leaves Casemiro, which, to be fair, in a Fenerbahce game, I don't think he had a bad game either when he came on. I think he played a few good passes, had a few good tackles, but I just want to see more of Ugarte, and I think he is a kind of player that gets better the more he plays. And for someone who, last season when he was at PSG, he wasn't a regular star in every single game. I want to see what that is like as a United regular. Because at the end of the day, next season he's going to be a regular. He's going to be a regular. Unless we buy a new midfielder, he probably is going to be a regular in the team. So we may as well see what that is like now. But there is a few super chats in here. Super chat from, I think I missed one before actually. CKS. Our bench is so much weaker than most other teams. So when Ten Hag makes controversial subs, it's useless. Do you agree with that? Not really, no.
Why is it so like a... Obviously, it depends what team he picks. Depending on who's in the team, that has an effect on if the bench is strong or not, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Ahmad's always on the bench.
Ahmad's always on the bench. He's the top player. Zirkzee's nearly always on the bench, and I'm still not convinced whether Zirkzee or Højlund is the best. But I'd probably go with Højlund. But I'm not too worried about Zirkzee coming on as a sub. And then obviously I don't know who's fit today. I've not seen the bench today.
Yeah.
But we've got if they're all fit, we've got loads of good defenders. Absolutely loads.
Maguire,
we've probably got more than
Evans.
two good back fours.
Yoro when he comes back.
Yeah, Yoro's not even kicked a ball for us yet, has he?
Yeah.
You've got Dalot and Mazraoui for two full-back spots. I know he's a bit harsh counting Luke Shaw, but surely he will play again someday. But I'm going to put Luke Shaw and Martinez as two left-backs because you've got four centre-backs in De Ligt, Maguire, Evans, who am I missing? Oh, Lindelof. We've got four good centre-backs, two good left-backs, two good right-backs. And that's without counting Yoro, and it's not counting Malacia. You're up to 10.
Yeah.
So, surely there's got to be...
When everyone's there.
When everyone's there.
When everyone's there. Yeah. It's a good squad. Super chat from Class 92. Still no Ahmad. Can this pathetic Ten Hag go already? Look.
That's how I'm feeling. That is how I'm feeling. I hate that. I actually don't like the phrase of player FC, and I don't think that I'm player FC. In other words, you're always going to defend a player because you love that player. But I love good players. And Ahmad's a good player, and he's not getting treated fairly by the manager.
Yeah. In fact, I'm going to change the conversation a little bit. What was your opinions on the whole Mazraoui situation? The game against Fenerbahce and playing in the 10. What was your, first of all, initial opinion on it? And after seeing it, what did you kind of gauge from that?
My initial opinion on it, I was absolutely gobsmacked. It was not.
I
don't know a single person who predicted that. I did a preview with Beth, didn't I, outside the stadium.
Yeah.
And didn't have a clue that Mazraoui was going to play in that role. I think everybody thought we're going to see Ugarte, we're going to see Casemiro, and we're going to see Eriksen. Yeah. I touched on before about, I'm just sidetracking a little bit, but I'll go back to that. I touched on before the show with you that the manager fell out with Sancho.
Yeah.
We know that Garnacho's a big favourite of his. We know that Rashford's a big favourite of his. He fell out with Sancho. Now it looks like he's falling out with Ahmad. And I'm thinking to myself,
how?
Why is this happening? Is he just overprotective of the players that he loves? And those two players are not better than the two players who they're not. Trust me. None of them will ever play in a European Cup final like Sancho did last season.
I mean, you don't know. Yeah.
You don't know, but it's very, very unlikely. Very, very unlikely. They're going to have to leave United to do it anyway, and who's going to buy him? Who's going to reach European Cup?
You don't think we'll make a Champions League final anytime soon? Not
while they're playing for us anyway. They're part of the reason that we won't. Yeah, do you know what I mean? What was I going to say? So that brings us to this. What crossed my mind there when I saw the fullback playing at number 10, I thought to myself, is this to try and make it look that we're missing Bruno? Do you know what I mean? Why have you done that? And anybody worth his salt would have said it's got to be Ugarte, it's got to be Casemiro, and then it's got to be Eriksen a touch further forward. And then Eriksen does score a cracking goal, by the way, even though he wasn't playing much further forward. But to answer your question about how it went, I don't think it went too badly at all. It was always going to be a tough game. I said this on that little show I did with Beth. people will be going, oh, look at us without Bruno. It went perfectly fine, and obviously it's a tough game, but going to any away game is in Turkey especially, it's tough. And I think most sensible people would have said you'd have took. I heard Paul Scholes talking about it.
Yeah.
Most sensible people would say you would take a draw. So it didn't go particularly great, but it certainly went okay. Yeah. And it certainly went as okay as we could have expected whether Bruno was playing or not.
Yeah.
So there's no difference. And Mazraoui did Andy had a good hand in the goal. I loved the little short passes. He was the one who gave it Zirkzee for Zirkzee to give it to Eriksen. So it went perfectly fine, and even he did perfectly fine. But I would still rather have seen Eriksen in that role.
Yeah, and it's kind of mad anyway, because the fact that Mazraoui was playing out of position meant that we then have to play a defender out of position at fullback. Yeah. So it's like you just constantly have
Martinez played at left back,
and then Lindelof played at centre back. And you never know if Mazraoui was playing at left back and Martinez was at centre back, and
maybe it'd have gone wrong.
Yeah, you never know. But I mean, I just want to see the same team. I just want to see a good 11 where everyone's playing in their position, and like the team plays well. But even so, on the whole Mazraoui in the 10 situation, obviously coming back at left back, and Dalot.
Well, he might play at right back, mightn't he? Dalot might play at left back.
Dalot might go back to left back.
I was a little bit sorry to interrupt, Mords.
Yeah,
I was a bit surprised when it did change, because I can't think of another incident where Mazraoui's played on the left and Dalot on the right. It's always been the other way around. I might be wrong, but that's how I remember it. So I was a bit surprised he didn't make a couple of swaps when he did swap it. Because Casemiro came on, didn't he? Yeah. So we ended up with Casemiro, Ugarte, Eriksen, and then he went to left back. I thought he'd have gone to right back, and Dalot would have switched over, but they kept it as it.
Do you prefer Maz on the left and Dalot on the right?
Do you know what?
They're both just as good as each other.
I think he did all right at left back, and I know he plays regularly. Is it Morocco he plays for? Yeah. And they did great in the World Cup, didn't they? Yeah. And he was playing left. I looked that up. I don't remember. I've got to be honest. I don't remember him as a player in that game. And I watched every game because they were an underdog who did great. Yeah. What I do remember of him, I remember thinking of him as being a dogged fullback who didn't get stuck in and certainly held his own, you know what I mean? But I don't remember him being anything special in that World Cup. But did they get to the semi-final or the quarter-final? I think it was the quarter-final. Yeah. They did really well though, and they pulled off a couple of surprises. So I do know he can play left-back, and I've got no problem with it today. If we turn up there today and Dalot's playing right-back and Mazraoui's playing left-back, I've got no worries about it.
Yeah, and I want to kind of touch on one player that I feel like we haven't spoke about a lot in the past few weeks, which is kind of a good thing almost, because we spoke about him a lot last season, Onana. The last game he had a double save, which was
a great save,
world-class save. Yeah. If any other keeper in the world does that, we'd be clapping our hands, praising him for the whole game, for weeks and weeks, because in my opinion, I always say that a keeper sometimes, depending on how big of the save it is and at what point in the game the save is made, it's just as good as scoring a goal. If Garnacho would score a goal, or if Rashford was to score a goal, their face would be on the headline, in the newspapers, name on the headlines. Everyone's talking about them all over social media. But if a goalkeeper makes a big save that stops us from losing the game, everyone kind of just give him a little clap and then we kind of just forget about it. But those two saves, that double save was crucial, and he's done it a couple of times this season. There's been a few times where he's made big saves, and I feel like his confidence and his shot-stopping ability, which is what we kind of criticised him for last season a lot. He was letting in a lot of easy goals, especially in the Champions League, these European games. Galatasaray, he conceded like 2 or 3 goals in one game, purely just based off shot-stopping ability. So I think that's a player that I think we should give a bit more credit to and give him a bit more flowers, because he is actually improving and doing well. There is a conversation about his outlet, his passing, and the thing that we brought him in for was to his ball playing ability, playing from the back. There is obviously a conversation about that. How well is he doing? Could he improve in certain ways? But that kind of goes hand in hand with, is Ten Hag, is the style of play that we're playing with, is it allowing him to pick up the pass? Is there even players available for him to make that pass to? Because in my opinion, I feel like if there is a player always available for him to make that pass to, he makes it. I think he is good at playing or at passing, whether it's long or short. So I think he deserves his flowers a little bit more, because the fact that we've not spoken about him a lot this season, is credit to him, because last season he was horrible. So what's your opinion on that?
He had some audible moments. I won't say he was audible all season. He had some audible moments last season, and he's certainly looking more solid, more confident. On the subject of his passing out from the back, you don't want to take. Well, you do see it a bit these days. I was about to say you don't want to take ridiculous risks when you're playing from your own 6-yard box. As I say, you do actually see teams taking ridiculous risks these days. But he's got to hit the ball long sometimes. He's got to.
Just to not lose.
So as not to take such stupid risks. And I don't think there's a few people saying there's too many long balls. There may be a few too many, but you've got to get the balance right. And I think when it's there that we've got that bit of space, and he has got somebody to give the ball to and start playing from the back, I think he does it. He's doing it okay. I would say the balance is about right between long balls and short balls at the moment.
But he is improving. I think that's the most important thing. He's improving. I do have the bench here. On the bench, we've got Bayern Harry Amas, Johnny Evans, Lindelof, Ugarte, Ethan Wheatley, and Joshua Zirkzee. So Evans is on the bench.
Did you mention Ahmad then?
No, I didn't mention Ahmad, actually. Is this the confirmed bench? Can I get a confirmed? I'm looking at FootMob. Let me get a confirmed bench. This is what I'm seeing.
Please don't tell me he's not even on the bench.
This is what I'm seeing.
Because there's just too many coincidences. Before it gets said, if he's not on the bench, I'm not having it that he's injured. I'm not having it. There's something going on.
I've not missed him.
You've not missed him, have you?
I've not missed him. I've just read out the whole bench. He's not injured. Sam C, we're checking in with Sam C, so we are going to get that confirmed. Let me check Sky. Let me just check.
It's 10-2 now, virtually.
Yeah,
the team news is out officially.
That is the team that is on there. Let me just, because if Ahmad isn't on the bench, that doesn't make sense. That's a bit crazy. Let me try and find the confirmed bench. Sky Sports are saying Ahmad is on the bench.
Thank God for that.
But yeah, he's on the
So
bench.
you found information.
He's just appeared on the thing. They've just added him in now. I don't know why he was in
I
there.
apologise. I apologise. But when I say I apologise, he should be playing anyway. But but at least he is there, and he can get half an hour if the manager deems it fit to give him half an hour for the change.
So hopefully, he does get some time in there. We are seeing Harvey Amas on the bench a lot more now. There was a time where we wasn't seeing him on there for whatever reason, but he is coming in there a bit more. I think Fletcher as well. Another young player, he's on the bench. Jack Fletcher. So other than Amad Diallo, and you spoke about Johnny Evans, is there any other players on the bench that you would say could make a difference to the game or that you want to see in a game?
I know you've only just read it out, but obviously Zirkzee's on there, isn't he?
Yeah, Zirkzee.
Zirkzee's the main one, isn't he, as well, who could come on and make a difference to our style of play, and you never know if that can lead to goals. I know what players. I know I was the striker myself in my younger days, and if you're not on the field and a chance comes to somebody, I'll tell you the perfect example. You always think, why didn't that chance just come 2 minutes ago when I was on the pitch? Did you watch the Everton game last night? What an assist by Ashley Young. What a ball on the volley. It's absolutely class. But Beto scores an header. It's a fifth minute of injury time, the equaliser, and he's been on the pitch about 10 minutes, and Calvert-Lewin is sat on the bench. I'm sure Calvert-Lewin will be sat on the bench going, why didn't that come to me? You can't. And then people always give kudos to the players who scored the goals. But being a different striker on the park at that time, he probably would have scored that goal. Do you know what I mean? So that's football. Yeah.
So I've got the West Ham team. We'll go through that as well. Fabianski in net, Emerson, Kilman, I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name. Mavropanos on Wan-Bissaka fullback. Alvarez, Rodriguez, and Sola in midfield.
Who's the second one then?
Alvarez, Rodriguez. And Sola in midfield, and then Paqueta, Antonio, and Bowen. Obviously, Kudus is injured. Not injured, suspended. Got a red card against Tottenham.
So they've got Bowen, Antonio,
and Paqueta. As that front three. Obviously, Paqueta is naturally like a midfielder. They've got that as a front three. Who would you say is the biggest threat in that team? Because for me, there's two players that I'm actually looking out for in that team. One is Bowen, I think he's probably arguably their biggest threat. He's the captain. He's playing a lot more for England now. He's a direct winger. He can also create. He's I think he's all around a good attacking player. But also, I mentioned it before, that Wan-Bissaka matchup is going to be interesting. I really want to see, depending on where he even plays Rashford and Garnacho, I think he's probably going to play.
He will start with Garnacho on the left, right. I'm sure of it. Rashford's been starting on the right, hasn't he? Just recently.
Do you think you start Rashford on the right today?
I think he'll still be. Why would he change it?
Interesting. Well, on here, he's got Garnacho on the right, but
yeah, I mean, that's just, is that Sky Sports or whoever? It's their guess, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think when the club give the TV companies and the media a list of names that are in the team, I don't think they say to them, this is how it's going to be lining up. I think they just give them a list of names.
And they just assume.
So there's a list of names. So it's up to us to put them in the positions that we think they'll be in.
So it'll be like that matchup.
I'm pretty sure it'll be Garnacho on the left. Like I say, I've been a bit fed up of him, Garnacho, running at people, trying to get shots in. He'll have his work cut out, getting much change out of Wan-Bissaka. Even though I wasn't Wan-Bissaka's biggest fan, there's no denying he's a difficult customer to get past, isn't it? There's no denying. So
super chats from Nigel. Ahmad not starting reminds me of Pelistri. It just looks like Eric Ten Hag doesn't rate him. Starting Anthony over Ahmad is insanity. Another super chat here from Thomas Mercado. Ten Hag could play Onana as striker. He probably would. He plays for Ajax, so he can play him anywhere. Another super chat. I think there's one more in here. Or a couple more actually. Super chat from Class 92. Watched Fulham play better football than us yesterday. You watched that game, right? So
Fulham played absolutely fantastic.
Is it?
I think really did knock the ball around well. Everton were just defending for the lives from start to finish.
Oh, really?
They were 1-0 down. As the 90 minutes ticked over, they were 1-0 down. They should have been 3 or 4-0 down and ended up getting a point out of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a mad game.
Super chat here from Rupid Cupid. Do you think Martinez could work as a CDM?
Yes, I do. But
I think when Arsenal were looking at him, they were looking at him as a DM. Right, I was a DM or as a left back, but I wasn't necessarily a centre back. So I think he has attributes.
We've just got too many though. I mean, he'd be the third one in line.
DM, yeah.
Ugarte and Casemiro. Casemiro's playing all right recently, isn't he?
I wouldn't say I'd pick him over Casemiro. So another super chat here from TJ's. Currently chilling on a beach in Cyprus, listening to the Best Football YouTube channel. What has Ugarte got to do to get a start in the Prem?
Well, as I always say, I've just criticised him for not picking Ahmed, but there is also the argument that you can only play 11. And I thought Ugarte he had a fine game the other night, but you can only play 11, and he's not going to leave his captain out. He's his favourite. Casemiro, Eriksen, the team sheet more or less comes with their names on it, as it does with Bruno. The problem he's got, if he's sensible, it's arguable that he's sensible to be honest, but if he's sensible to give Ugarte a game, he's got to drop Bruno in my opinion, because then Eriksen, you've got a solid base then to work from with Casemiro and Ugarte. Eriksen a bit further forward. I'm confident it'd be a stronger team now. I'm confident, but he's not going to drop Bruno, and I don't think. Well, it's just not, is he? He's not dropping Casemiro nor Eriksen.
And I think especially when you got Mainoo coming back in the team.
There's Mainoo to come back as well.
He's going to be starting, regardless. We know he's going to be starting.
That's going to be fascinating. Who's going to drop for him? Who's he going to drop for him? It's probably not going to be Bruno, but who can you? I don't think at the minute he's going to drop Eriksen, is he? So is Casemiro going to lose his place?
He's going to have to.
Will Mainoo start on the bench when he comes back?
He might give Mainoo the Ahmad treatment and just put him on the bench.
Yeah, he might do.
And just leave him on the bench for a number of games. But
depends how the games go between now and then. We're talking as we go in at the minute.
Yeah.
I know we're not winning games, but we're not losing. I think I'm right in saying this. We've only won one of our last 7, which sounds terrible. Well, it is terrible. But if you spin it on its head, we've only actually lost one of our last 9. That doesn't sound too bad. Do you know what I mean?
Since the Spurs game, we were lost.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
that's the only game we've lost in 9, I think.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, but I guess in the last 4 games, we've only won that Brentford game, which was kind of like almost lost it.
We've got a run of games coming up now. Look, I know we've got to start winning games soon. I'd love us to win, and we're capable of winning today. But we've just spoke about how difficult it is scoring goals.
Yeah.
We're averaging 1.5 a game last season, the season before. This season we're not even averaging 1 a game. So the problem is The problem is, if West Ham get 1 goal, we're going to have our work cut out winning this game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, probably a draw again. Probably a draw.
We need some points on the board,
then we've got a run of home games, though, haven't we?
Yeah.
Although we have got Chelsea in that run, that's tough. We've got Leicester in the League Cup. We've got Chelsea in the league. Then
I've got the next run of games here. We've got obviously West Ham today, Leicester in the League Cup on Wednesday. Next week Sunday we've got Chelsea.
Yeah. Then a Europa League game, is it?
Europa League.
Who's that against?
PAOK, Thessaloniki, something like that.
And then Chelsea.
We've got Leicester again.
And then Leicester at home.
In the league. And then we've got Ipswich, and then we've got Bulldog.
We've got four home games on the bounce after today.
Yeah.
And although one of them is Chelsea, we've got to win 3 and draw 1 at least.
I think this is a good run of games, in my opinion. The next 7 games, I mean, the only real huge threat, I'd say, is Chelsea because of how well they're playing right now. But you look at Leicester. We're playing Leicester twice. They're not.
Yeah.
I know did they win the last game? I remember Jamie Vardy scored another goal.
They got beat 3-1 last night. Who did they lose to? Was it last night? Oh no, yeah, they got beat 3-1 by Forest on Friday night.
Yeah, I remember Vardy scored that goal. But that's 2 games that we should be winning. The 2 Europa League games, I say we should be winning, but they're not exactly the 2 difficult games. So we'll definitely be going into those games thinking that we can get a result. So the next 7 games, we should be doing. I don't want to put a number out there, but we should be winning the majority of these games.
If we can even take a draw, if we can avoid defeat against Chelsea, it should be another 7-game run without a defeat.
Yeah, you know it should be. Like if we were to lose any of these games, it'd be a terrible result. That's the fact. It'd be a terrible result.
Apart from perhaps Chelsea.
Apart from Chelsea, yeah, 100%. But back onto the West Ham team. What's one of those players would you say would you
always been a massive fan of Mikel Antonio. He's playing today, isn't he?
Yeah, he's starting.
I'm a massive fan. I think he's getting on now. Can anybody tell us how old he is? I think he might be in his early 30s now, and obviously he has relied a lot on pace and power over the years. But I still,
34.
Is it, how old?
34.
34.
Wow, I did not know he was that old.
I didn't know. I knew he was coming into his 30s, so it's not that I am surprised, but it's not that surprising really. He's been around a long time.
34.
But I don't know if you remember Mordzs, but he was a right full-back to start with. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a right full. I liked him then.
He's played a lot of. I think he went through the whole pretty much football league system. Like he started from. Like a very low level, and he's worked his way up. So.
He's had a top career. Yeah. He's a top player, and whenever I've seen him interviewed, he seems like a top guy as well. So,
do you think that'll be an interesting matchup with De Ligt and Martinez, just because of the fact that I can't remember who it was, but someone said that De Ligt was like lightweight. Who was it? You made that comment.
It was one
of them. One of the pundits.
Was it Graham Souness?
I think it was Souness. You know.
Yeah.
One of those pundits. Anyway,
I'm not so sure.
Made a comment about.
Well, if he is lightweight, he better not be lightweight today. Because he's playing next to Martinez today, who's about 4 inches shorter.
So
that's something. Let's see how Martinez does today. We talk about players to watch. Make no mistake. And if they're playing, because he scores plenty of headers, Antonio. He's got to think how many headers he's scored in his career.
Yeah.
Scores plenty of headers. He will be trying to pull onto Martinez. He will be trying to avoid De Ligt and pull onto Martinez. Make no mistake about that. So if he manages to do that, it'd be good to watch Martinez and see how he handles it. Because as I've said, I know he's not getting any younger, but he's a top player.
Yeah, he's still definitely a threat. This season, he's scored 1 goal, got 1 assist. I mean, looking at our team, that's pretty much the same as our players.
Good enough for us.
Good enough for us. It's very similar to what our players have been doing. But yeah, I 100% agree. I think that matchup between either Martinez or De Ligt, and I think you're right, he probably is going to move closer to Martinez, even though there was that narrative that De Ligt is this lightweight player. In terms of heading ability, De Ligt's probably one of our best players in the team. So
he's doing fine in the air.
Yeah, I think he's doing well. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. Obviously, we spoke about Bowen and Wan-Bissaka. You mentioned about he wasn't the biggest fan. Do you think of Wan-Bissaka? Do you think Rashford or Garnacho would have more fun on that side?
We would probably be better with Rashford on that side because I hope this comes back to bite me in the bum. I'd love to see Garnacho beat him a couple of times and I don't know, get a goal and an assist. Perhaps it'd be fantastic. But I just don't see him getting any change out of Wan-Bissaka. Now Rashford seems to have calmed his game down a little bit. I've seen him get in the box and gets a couple of decent balls across in recent games, but he does seem to just get hold of it and pass it a bit more than Garnacho does. Like he's a little bit like he should do. He's 27 now. A little bit like he's learning the game a bit more.
Yeah.
So I think not because he'll get more change out of him, but simply because he won't lose it to him so often.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'll probably go with Rashford on that side and let Garnacho have a run, you know, at the left back instead. But I don't expect that to happen. That's what I'm thinking would be better. I think the manager will stick with Rashford on the right and Garnacho on the left.
And I think Wan-Bissaka knows Rashford's game very well. You know, they've obviously played together for a number of years. So I just think Rashford's gonna have to not change his game, but he's going to be a bit more unpredictable. You know, if he tries similar, I feel like people underestimate how much just playing with someone affects, you know, how you can read the game. He's going to know what Rashford's not special moves, but his go-to moves are. Like if it's a step over, if it's trying to take him down the line, or if it's a chopping, he's going to know that. And because we mentioned it loads of times, Wan-Bissaka is one-on-one, probably one of the best defenders in the league. If Rashford was to continue doing the same thing for the whole game, he's not going to get any luck. So he's going to have to be a bit more unpredictable. Interesting, obviously, Anthony isn't on the bench. He obviously is injured. I wonder how long that is for, though. I wonder if the information is out yet. But yeah, Anthony isn't available. But moving on to we know that now that Højlund is starting in front of Fernandes. Do you think he's going to have a bit of joy in this game, or how do you think he should play, or maybe develop his game in this game to, be more of a threat to West Ham?
Well, I rewatched the Brentford game, and against Brentford he did better than I actually thought he did while I was watching it live. He did better with his back to goal. There's a couple of good controls. There's a really good turn, and he set Garnacho free when he turned and passed it to him. His hold-up play, his play with his back to goal seems to be improving. Whether Ruud Gullit's doing whether Ruud van Nistelrooy is doing a lot of work with him, I don't really know. Probably he is, but he's certainly looking stronger and better with his back to goal, and that's how you can keep hold of the ball in the final third or even in their half, and then help your team to keep the pressure on. So if he can keep hold of that ball rather than lose it and then feed it back into his teammates, we can keep the pressure on. That way he can then get in the box as we move up the park and hopefully get a bit of joy from crosses. The crosses are only likely to come from Rashford, if I'm honest. It's Garnacho on the other side is more likely to cut in and shoot. But he's got to keep working hard on that bit of his hold-up play. But a lot of people think, he needs to be running the channels, he needs to be chasing balls, getting on the end of crosses. But it all starts by having a number 9 who you can hit with the ball, who can get hold of that ball and then keep your team in possession in the final third or even in their half, and then we can build up and play a bit better. But when that's going to happen, he did it better against Brentford. I suppose it's the rest of the team really that have then got to play better and supply him with chances.
Super chat here from Rory C. Everyone knows what Rashford will do: turn in and shoot.
Well, if he's playing on the left, he will. Playing on the right, not so much.
Playing on the right,
I don't know if anybody in the comments can tell us, but I remember Rashford having one shot the other night. I might be wrong, but I remember the one shot with his left foot, which wasn't a bad effort.
I know what you're talking about. Just could pass a post.
I can't remember him shooting other than that one effort.
A lot of people are talking about Ugarte not starting in the team. Obviously, we spoke about that a little bit. But everyone's saying, Ugarte needed to play today. Why is Ugarte not starting? Do you think that's the biggest difference in the team? Or biggest change the biggest difference that would have been made to the team if Ugarte was to start? Yeah,
Ugarte had a cracking game, I thought, the other night. And it is a shame that he can't start. But again, I'll say it time and time again. I'm not frightened of repeating myself. You can only play 11. In fact, anybody who's made that comment, why don't you tell us who you put him in place of? The way Eriksen's playing, you can't put him in place. I've already given you my 2 pence. I wouldn't put him in Bruno's place because I'd put Eriksen further forward. But to me, I would leave Bruno out to play Ugarte, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
So now that we know that obviously Johnny Evans isn't going to play, I think that was your player to watch.
I wanted to watch Johnny Evans. Johnny Evans.
Now that we know he's obviously not going to be your player to watch, from looking at the team that is starting, who would you say is your player to watch?
I think I might have already said one, but if I haven't, I think since Johnny Evans, I would go Martinez now, especially with the matchup if he's against Antonio on numerous occasions. I go Martinez against Antonio.
It's a difficult game.
That'll be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, I think for me, my player to watch was whoever goes up against Wan-Bissaka. So if Rashford on the right, whichever one it is,
it'll be Garnacho. I'll be gobsmacked if it's not Garnacho.
Yeah.
I think he's settled on this, the manager, for now.
Really, you think he's settled on this Rashford?
I think he's settled. Yeah, two games in a row. I think he'll. I think it's only two, innit? Brentford and then the other night.
And Fenerbahce.
Yeah, I think he's settled on that for now.
I think I'm interested to see what he does. I don't know. I feel like we do know that he is a kind of manager to go back to what he knows. And he's very likely to just go back to. I know Rashford on the left. I know Garnacho on the right.
Yeah, that's a fair shout. That's a fair shout. He's gone back to Rashford and Garnacho since Ahmad was Player of the Month, wasn't he? Yeah. You know what I mean? He's gone back to them too. So.
True. Seems like from Alex Buckley, Garnacho. I think you meant to say Garnacho set for 100th game. This is a 100th game.
Is it?
I wouldn't be surprised actually. He did play a lot last season.
100 sounds a lot, but we didn't play very many before.
100th game. I think it's just 100 game in general, because he was a sub for the first season when Ronaldo was here. Yeah. Last season he had a lot of games. This season, maybe.
I'll be amazed if it's his 100th.
Let us know in the comments
myself,
if this is Garnacho's 100th game. It might be, but we'll see about that. But anyway, moving on, I want to talk a little bit about Ten Hag. We haven't spoken about Ten Hag that much this show. Now, I said before about how since the Spurs game, and I think that was a game where a lot of people's mindset kind of changed on Ten Hag. That's where my mindset changed anyway. I kind of just gave up on him. But since that Spurs game, he actually hasn't lost a game, which a lot of people say it's a good thing he's undefeated, but obviously when you look at the results, he's only won one out of those last 4 games. Do you still feel like his job is kind of on the line as every single game goes by, or do you feel like because we've been unbeaten, he's given himself more and more time, as in like, even if he does lose today, it's not a case of he's going to get sacked tomorrow. He's built up a little bit more leeway to say, you know what, I can put in some decent results. Do you feel like he's doing a good job, or he's at least improving in what he's already done?
I don't think his job's on the line anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's always results based, and the results are not fantastic, but they're not horrendous at the moment.
Yeah.
Like you say, since the Spurs game, we've not lost. It's the only game we've lost in 9, and I know there's quite a lot of draws in there, a hell of a lot of draws in there. But the results are not too bad. That was a blow, not beating FC 20 at Old Trafford. That was a major blow. Yeah. We'd be in a decent position to challenge for the top 8 had we won that game. 5 points, you'd only just be outside that top 8 to qualify straight through.
Yeah.
But at the minute, we've got a hell of a lot of work to do to get in that top 8. So that was a major blow, and that's one of the draws that's in that run of unbeaten games. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I don't think his job's. Don't think his job's on the line on today's result.
You say he's improving?
If we avoid defeat today, we've now got this run, a run of 4 home games. We could easily be sat here. Obviously, the Chelsea game accepted, but we could still get a result out of that game, even if it's a draw again, I'm afraid. But we've got 4 home games after today. If you had another 5, so that's why we've lost 1 in 9. If we're undefeated in the next 5, we'll have only lost 1 in 14 games. It's not a bad run at all. That.
Yeah, it's not.
But obviously, it's all got to happen yet. But
yeah, it's hypothetical.
Yeah, hypothetical.
You never know. So would you say that he is improving then, or there is some sign of progression?
Slowly but surely, there is progression, but it's too slow. Slowly but surely, the defensive shape's better. That's the reason we're not losing so many games. We lost a record amount of games last season. Was it not 24 games?
It was the most games in the league that was lost.
Sounds a lot, but that's what I've got in my mind. I mean, in all competitions, I think we lost 24 games last season. So so far this season we've lost 3. We're probably on target at the minute to lose, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 games. Nearly half as many as we lost last year. Yeah. So, and that's partly because the defensive shape's a little bit better. The wingers are working a bit harder. And Eriksen's back in the team. Eriksen wasn't in the team much at all last season. He helped you keep hold of the ball. A lot of people might have thought I was mad. I did it on my own Instagram page. Rick the Red UK on Instagram, by the way. On my own Instagram page, I did something about about Eriksen needing to come in the team. It's still on there. And it was just before we played Southampton away. And just before we played Southampton away, we were letting we'd only played 3 or 4 games, and we'd let 3 in against Liverpool, 2 against Brighton, and I said, and it's there to still be seen on YouTube, on Instagram. I said we need to put Eriksen in this team to help us to be a bit more, get more control in games, and to help us to stop conceding goals. And the goals against column is miles better since he came in the team than before he was in the team. And he came in against Southampton. And, well, fingers crossed, we're playing West Ham today away. It's his 5th league game of the season. We haven't let a goal in yet in a league game that Eriksen's played. So I'd love us to keep another clean sheet today.
Yeah, I for my prediction anyway, I don't know if you've seen the predictions on the screen. They've probably been flashing in and out. I did predict a 2-0.
Right, what did you predict? I mean, look, I would love us to keep a clean sheet. I've predicted a 2-all draw.
Oh my God.
Look, it's got to change sometime, hasn't it, as well? Look, there's a difference between what you want to happen and what you think might happen. You know, look, if I was just going to say what I want to happen, I would have predicted 6-0 for United. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
So,
I want to see what the clean sheet stats are for the Premier League. Actually, let me see. In the Premier League. United have had
5, I think.
It says 4 here.
Does it say 4?
Let me check.
Oh yeah, we like one in against Brentford, so that's the first one.
Yeah.
That's the first one with Eriksen starting in the team. It's the first one, sorry. My mistake, I missed that one.
Yeah,
he played against Southampton, we didn't let a goal in.
Yeah.
Played against Villa, he played against Palace. They're all clean sheets.
Yeah.
And then against Brentford, we did let one in, so I made a mistake there, yeah.
Yeah, United have.
So I think we've let 1 goal in the 4 games that he started in the league.
But
it's still fantastic.
I mean, look, Onana's joint top for clean sheets in the Premier League so far this season.
There you go.
With Alisson. Alisson's injured.
How many is it? Is it 4?
Yeah, it's 4. It's 4. Yeah, we do have 4 clean sheets. Arsenal.
So one was against Fulham on the first game, wasn't it?
Yeah, so technically we are.
Yeah, defensively we're doing.
Yeah, we actually are doing that. You look at the numbers.
Well, funnily enough, I spoke to you earlier when I told you about the defence is fine. You know, last season, defensive record. Look, it sounds mad really when we let 58. That's a hell of a lot of goals for us to let in. But only 3 teams conceded less. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even teams that finished above us, Newcastle, Chelsea, Brighton, Spurs, they all conceded more goals than we did. It's scoring goals that's our problem. That's the problem, scoring goals.
And I think as well, people look at the amount of goals we do concede when we concede as we concede a lot of goals, but it's just those individual games we're just conceding a lot.
We've got to concede less as well. Don't get me wrong.
Because when we do concede, it's like we concede 3-4 goals in one game. So
or 6 or 7 occasionally. Won't speak about that.
Sometimes. But yeah, no, we are actually keeping some clean sheets, and I think that is due to our defence being a bit more solid. I know Onana as well, so I've spoken about Onana before, him being a little bit more solid. But yeah, so I don't know if it came on the screen, my predictions. Can we get the predictions on the screen actually? I've got some super chats here, one from Class 92. What else say about this spineless player FC manager? The epitome of playing Maz at 10 to not play Eriksen. So he won't outshine Bruno is sad, pathetic. Wow, that's a harsh.
It's a little bit stronger than I put it, but it was what was sort of going through my mind.
Yeah, true. Another super chat from Rudolph the Red. Rick Wall, football philosophy Everton.
Probably not. I found it too hard. I had my own YouTube channel for a short while. Yeah, called the Football Philosophy Channel. I keep thinking to myself I might just do the odd one, but there's not really any point. I'd say an honest answer about the Football Philosophy Channel. I started it up during COVID. Yeah. So during COVID, A, I couldn't go out of the house. B, I couldn't do, didn't have much to do. Yeah. And C, my missus was always there to help me technically, because technically I'm no good at even setting things up like YouTube shows and things like that. Yeah. So it's not always the case now that I've got assistants and that was it. It was something that I did during COVID, and I did enjoy it, and I got some great. Didn't have a lot of followers, but I got some great responses from. I
think the people are looking for that Ricky channel to start up, man. I think anywhere to start up. But we do have the predictions on the screen. Ricky is second.
Yeah, yeah.
You are second on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
You've gone for a 2-2 draw today. I've gone for a 2-0 win. I think most of the guys at United side have gone for at least 2 goals today. Kev's gone for a 3-0 win. I mean that'll be ideal, to be fair. But yeah, I think the leaderboard's kind of shaping up nicely. I mean, we've got Ryan and Sam at the bottom.
Yeah.
You watching?
Yeah. Sam's adrift, really. I mean, Ryan's second bottom. Ryan's second bottom, but he's got the same points as 2 others.
Yeah,
so
true.
It's Sam who's only got 2.
I have to get onto Sam
Pull
because
your finger out,
he
Sam.
always predicts like losses or draws.
Well, I hope Sam gets it right today. He's gone for the 2-0 win today, so I'd bite his hand off for that.
Hopefully, and we do have Greg at the top. Fair enough, he's cheering in the back. But yeah, we're gonna keep track of all these scores, these predictions throughout the season. So it's nearing closer to the game. I really want to see. I was searching up what West Ham's stats are. So this laptop's just died. But I think I saw something before about West Ham have scored. I think they scored or they've conceded 7 in 5 or something like that. Let me double check. I just had it on my screen before, but
I'll bring the league table up to start with.
Someone in the chat let us know how much West Ham have conceded in their last 5 games. Get that one.
Well, I don't know about the last 5 games, but
Let me use my phone.
they've conceded. They've scored 11 and they've conceded 15.
Scored 11 and conceded 15. So
the goal difference is -4. Ours is -2.
Yeah.
They're exactly 3 points behind us. They'll actually go above us on goals scored if they beat us today, no matter what score, even if they beat us 1-0.
So regardless, they'll go above.
If they beat us 1-0, their goal difference will go to -3 because they'll gain 1, and ours will go to -3 because we'll lose 1.
Okay, yeah.
And they've scored more than us already. So if they beat us today by any score, he'll go above us.
So even though they're not having a great season, obviously.
No, they're not having a great season. If they beat us today, they go above us. Everyone's saying, "Oh, West Ham have been crap."
I mean, the numbers the numbers say they have been crap, but the numbers say that we've been crap as well. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But if we do win, I think we go level on points with Chelsea, which is kind of insane if you think about it.
Yeah.
We go level on points. That is. If Chelsea don't obviously win their game. So it is interesting to see how the table, because we're still so early in the league. I think a lot of people get confused a little bit because, not confused, but they forget that we are only 7, 8, 9 games in. 1 win, 2 wins, you could literally move 4 or 5 places up the table. United are currently on 11 points. If we do get the win, we go to 14, which is level on points for Chelsea. And we are joint 7th.
Chelsea are at home to Newcastle, aren't they? The same time as us.
Same time. So that's 2 big teams.
2 big teams. Someone's going to drop a point.
Someone's going to drop points.
They might drop 2 points each.
Yeah. So we could be above Newcastle, above.
Newcastle. I'm amazed at this. Newcastle are in 12th, by the way. Newcastle are 12th.
Wow. They have a 0 goal difference as well.
Yeah.
So you know what? The Premier League is going to be interesting. You know, we're not even we're about a quarter way through.
Well, just about
a quarter way through. And even though we are 13th, which is still a bit sad to say, things could change very quickly. I think early in the season, when we lost to Liverpool, everyone's kind of mindset was, "Oh, the season's done." Or even the Spurs game, the season's done. If we have Ten Hag,
if we can string, I said this on a show the other week. If we can string 3, 4, maybe 5 wins together or 4 wins and a draw, we'll be just around the top 4. We really
in and
would.
Around there.
Obviously, it's easy to say it, but stringing 4 or 5 wins in a row is the hard bit. You know what I mean? But we have got, look, we've just said, I know West Ham are not doing great, but they're doing similarly to us. So it's a winnable game. It's not going to be easy, of course it's not, but it's a winnable game.
Yeah.
If we can win this game today, we've then got a couple of home games coming up, you know what I mean? Yeah. So you can suddenly, I said this before the Brentford game, by the way, on the show, but now we've won the Brentford game, so let's try and win this game today, and then you've got your 2. We'll get another 2 after that, and obviously you're looking at us catching Chelsea there, by the way, and Chelsea's the next home game after this.
Yeah, so we could end up above Chelsea.
We've got, obviously, it's a big, tough game now, but that's a game we need to win.
And to their last season, Chelsea weren't great last season, but I think they weren't great in terms of results. I think in terms of playing football, they were still better than us.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they ended up finishing. Where did they end up finishing last year?
They finished 7th or 8th.
Seventh,
didn't they?
yeah.
Well, they're in
finished
that
8th.
Conference League, aren't they?
Yeah, so I think they finished
I think if we'd not won the FA Cup, I think they'd have been in the Europa League.
we took their Europa League place.
spot.
We took someone's Europa League place because we won the FA Cup. But yeah, they ended up coming back.
Anyway.
That game, Cole Palmer scored like a hat trick. They ended up coming back and winning 4-3. So you never know. It's gonna be an interesting game anyway. But the stats that I hear was West Ham have scored 7 goals in their last 5 matches. They haven't kept a clean sheet in their last 7 matches.
Right.
And West Ham and Manchester United have not drawn in any of their last 11 games against each other.
Right.
So we're looking for it's looking like a game of quite a few goals. Both teams are not quite a few, but both teams are probably going to score. And yeah, but they haven't drawn in a while, so we're looking for a winner today. I think both teams are going to really go at it, especially like I said before, considering how poor the West Ham last game was. You know, they were up 1-0, got the red card, ended up losing 4-1. And I think they're going to be going into this game for a win. They're at home as well, so you never want to lose at home. So it's going to be an interesting game for both teams. But moving on, I think I missed a super chat before, actually. Let me go back. Yeah, super chat from Sarah Barr. We won 6 out of our last 18 Premier League games. This would be unacceptable at any other top club.
Absolutely spot on.
Yeah, I think
no matter how you flower it up, you can always look at different stats, and and I've just said we've only lost 1 of our last 9, which is okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure we had plenty of times, even in the Fergie years, where we lost more than 1 game in 9. So it's not a bad run, but there's too many draws in there. And like you say, you can spin it on its head and say we've only won 1 of our last 7. And what was that one? We've only won 6 out of 18 league games.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? It isn't that much better than relegation form. I noticed that yesterday. I mean, look at Everton. They struggle every year against relegation.
Yeah.
If they'd have beat Fulham at home last night, they'd have been on the same points as us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They ended up drawing, and they were, it was a late equaliser as well. But they'd have been on the same points as us if they'd have won last night.
So we're in relegation form.
A home game as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Another super chat from Alex Gruder. Alex, Ricky, are you coming to Romania for the FCSB game?
I might well do. I'll have to check the date again, but I am looking at doing 1 more of the 2 European games away from home, I haven't decided which one yet.
If he is, then you guys probably see him out there. Another super chat from Niki. Ricky is a living legend, talks so much sense.
Thank you very much.
Nice super chat there.
Thank you.
But yeah, we're nearing close to the game, about 5 more minutes to the end of the show. I actually had a couple little debates I was going to do the last build-up show. We didn't even have any time to do it because the show went so quick. But it was based on youth and experience. How much do you value both sides? Do you feel like United have enough youth in the team compared to the amount of experience that we have? And do you feel like you need a lot more of one, or you'd rather a lot more of experience, older players in the team, or would you rather have more younger players coming through to at least build up their confidence and ability in the team?
First of all, I'm a great believer in the next game being the most important game rather than considering what you're going to do in a year down the line, 2 years down the line. The most important thing in football. The most important thing in football for me is today's game. We're playing West Ham away today.
Yeah.
So if I was in charge of United's team today, I would pick the team that I feel has got the best chance of winning that game. And that's usually the best, a lot of people sometimes think there's horses for courses. Against this team we might go with that, or against this team we might go with this. We're Manchester United. I'd like to think that we could have a squad that's strong enough that we are capable of beating I'm not saying we have got this, but we should have a squad that's capable of beating anyone, and we should want to play the way we want to play in every game. And that to me would... It wouldn't matter to me. It'd be great. Look, you do need a little bit of a balance.
Yeah.
But if I look at 2 players who are competing for the same spot, and one of them's 35 and one of them's 25, I will only consider who I think will do a better job for me in the team on that day. And I don't care whether it's the 25-year-old or the 35-year-old. Yeah. If I think Johnny Evans is one of our best players at the minute, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I also think Mainoo's one of our best players at the minute.
I think there's a good range in our team.
There is a good range. There is a good range, and But I think what I'm trying to put out there is if I look at every single individual, it wouldn't be great, and obviously it's going to be a mess for the future if every player was 35. But if every player happens to be 23, and I would be quite happy putting a team out of a full team of roughly 23-year-olds if I thought those players were the best players for the job.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't mind them all being around 30 if they were the best players for the job. And slowly but surely, you've got to remove those players as they are getting older. But while they're whoever it might be, while you're the best man for the job, as far as I'm concerned, you're the best man for the job, and I don't care how old you are or how young you are.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people look at, for example, like Arsenal's team, and they look at how young a lot of their players are. Saka's only 22, Martinelli's very, very young, Havertz, Declan Rice about 25, Odegaard, a lot of their Saliba, a lot of their players are very young, which means the fact that they are playing well as well at a very high standard, they've got at least 5, 6, 7, 8 more years of developing the same players. Yeah. And you know, these players can gel together and they can work together every week in training, match it week in, week out, and it just creates more chemistry between the players because they're young and they're playing together.
That's all fine. I agree with you. Spot on, 100%. But that's what they've managed to get together. If you know, I'm adamant that you've got to. If you can start doing well and start winning games, it makes it easier to get the players that you want as well. It makes it easier to get players to join you. Yeah. You know, I would want my team, out of the players that you've got, to be the best player for the job, and I wouldn't care about how old they are. But if it does fall like that, I don't know whether that's been a plan for Arsenal. Maybe it has, and it's fantastic for them, absolutely fantastic. But if I was the manager of Arsenal, and then suddenly somebody came to me on a free transfer, because it happens, I'm sidetracking here a little bit. I think Christian Eriksen and Johnny Evans are possibly our best two players. Not just value for money because they were free. I don't just mean value. I mean they actually are the best two players.
Oh, yeah, they were free as well.
And they're both free. And we're spending hundreds of millions. You know what I mean?
That's actually a good point. That's a really good point.
I think they're our best two players. So that could happen to Arsenal. You know, it is possible that a player could come on the market who they could pick up for buttons because they're that smart, or maybe even for free. It can happen. And if he happens to be 30 and he proves me team, he would go into my team. Yeah,
that's an interesting point. I never thought about that. Johnny Evans and Eriksen, they're both, I say, older players. They're both 30 plus. Both very experienced. Johnny Evans won a Premier League. Did he not win a Champions League with us? Was he not in that season?
No, he wasn't. Was it before his time, that?
No, he was definitely...
He certainly wasn't in the team. I know that for a fact. I'm trying to think it was before. Well, when did we last win it? 2008. Yeah, he'd probably just left us by then. Yeah.
Did he leave us? I feel like he was on loan or something. Someone in the chat will know anyway. They always know what happened.
He certainly wasn't in the squad, 100%.
Yeah, he wasn't in the
It was Ferdinand and Vidic, wasn't it? And we had Wes Brown was a centre-back, although he was playing right back in the final.
I remember him being on loan. I think he was at Sunderland. Yeah, a lot of people saying, hey, he got a medal.
He got a medal for the Champions League?
Yeah, he got a medal.
I need to check that.
Everyone in there saying that he got a medal, but I mean, if he did, he's a Champions League winner. He's a Champions League winner, Premier League winner.
He's certainly a Premier League winner.
He's definitely a Premier League winner. So that is definitely something that you can say or put in his resume and say, look, I've done this.
He's a top player. I was devastated. I loved Louis van Gaal. I mean, this is for another show, but of all the managers that we've had since since Fergie, I would have liked Louis van Gaal to have got more time. And I love. And look, you can never agree with everything anybody does. But it was Louis van Gaal who let Johnny Evans go, and I was devastated when he let Johnny Evans go. I was absolutely devastated.
I've just heard. So he wasn't in the 08 squad.
No, I didn't think he was.
But on here anyway, I've just checked it on Transfer Market. He does have a Champions League to his name.
Does he?
Plus 3 Premier Leagues.
3 Premier Leagues.
Plus 3 Premier Leagues. Yeah. 08, 09, 10, 11 and 12, 13.
So he's a superstar after all.
2 FA Cups, 2 League Cups. He won the second.
I think he won the FA Cup with Leicester, didn't he, as well? I think he did.
Yeah, he did 2021. This is a he could retire today and just be like, you know what? I've done more than probably, I would have maybe like Casemiro or someone like that. Probably more than everyone else in the team put together. Let's be honest. So he has that in his.
I'll be gobsmacked if he's not got more medals now than any of our players are going to get.
Ever going to get?
I'll be gobsmacked, yeah. Ever. Yeah, we ain't going to start winning Premier League soon with the play. Do we? Mords, wake up and smell the coffee, son. We are where we are because of the players we've got. Do you know what I mean? We've had to bring Johnny Evans back, who was winning all them trophies 10 years ago. We've had to bring him back just to make us a bit more stable.
It's a good point, anyways. Super chat here from Gummy Smith. Also in the academy, Obi Martin hat-trick in 50 minutes. Did you see that?
I've not seen. I've read about it and heard about it, but I've not seen the goals.
I've seen the goals. Good
Are
goals.
they good ones? Yeah.
Good goals. 2 goals in the first 4 minutes.
Wow.
3 goals in 15 minutes. And he was doing it for Arsenal as well. So it's not like he's just randomly he's been doing this for a minute. So that's definitely a player.
Fingers crossed, I hope so.
And when you look at him, when I was looking at him play with, like around other academy players, he just looks a lot bigger and stronger, like more physical, even though he's 16.
Is that all
I think he's 16. Oh, Mark is live, by the way. Even though he's only like 16, he looks like a lot bigger than the other players around him. So he definitely got a lot of potential for this United team anyway, the next 5 years. But like I said, Mark is live. I don't know if you got any more last comments about this game, anything going into the game?
Nothing. I've got nothing intelligent to say, just come on United!
So ending on that, head over to Mark's stream. He is live right now. We will be back on the fan forum. I'm not sure exactly who's going to be on. I think it is Kev and so Beth was actually supposed to be here, but I'm not going to explain everything that's happened. But you'll see us on the fan forum later on. And thanks for watching.